Today we are starting Learning Target 12, which is our final learning target of trimester 1. And Learning Target 12 deals with percents. We're dividing this into two groups where today we're going to solve the percent proportion where the percent part or the part value is missing. Now before we can start that though, we need to talk about a percent. A percent is going to be, what it means is out of 100. Which is why if you get 65% of the questions right, that means that you have you got 65 out of 100 questions. Now obviously if there's less than 100 questions, it's an equivalent. So what we're going to look at today though is that percent proportion, and some of you are wondering, what is this percent proportion? I set it up like this. Percent over 100 equals is over of. We'll start with the percent piece. This is the easiest part. This value will have a percent sign. Drop it and place it here. If you don't see a percent sign on a number, this is the value that's missing. Now the of value, probably going, what in the heck is the of value? The of value is your whole. It's coming immediately after the word of, and it represents the total that is equivalent to 100%. Hence the reason why there's a horizontal line connecting the 100 and the of. Now the is part is your part. It's your piece of the whole. It's whatever's left over in the problem. So knowing this, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of examples. Our first example here is dealing when we have that part value missing. And we're talking about 35% of 80. So I would start off and I draw out my proportion. I'll fill in the hard part first. I know, hard part, haha. 100, which represents, now we look here and we say, all right, I have a number with a percent. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right here. And I have 35%, which means 35 out of 100, like our definition for percent means. Now, the other piece here, and look at 80. 80 comes after the word, immediately after the word of. We're saying, what is 35% of 80? In other words, if you had an 80-point test and only scored a 35, 35 would not go here. And so therefore, I apologize, I'm jumping ahead of myself. 80. We have an 80-point test, you scored 35. We're saying if you got an 80 out of 80, you would have 100%. And I want to know, what is this value here? Now, suddenly, we've got a proportion. This is just like last week. So we look at ourselves and say, all right, we need to clear out this denominator. Now, clearing out the denominator is not necessarily going to be the easiest thing, but the nice part is we have 80 and 100. Both of them are divisible by 10. So we know that we have 8 and 10. So 80 and 100, let's go with 400. So that is the nice part here. So I'm going to multiply top and top, both terms, by 400. Now, could you do 800? Yes. I'm going to use 400 because it's my LCD. So now when I do that, I get 80 and 400, both of them are divisible by 10. They're also both divisible by 80. So if we take out, if I take and divide by 10, that gives me 40 and 8. So that means that this has 5 because 40 is divisible by 8 and it goes in 5 times. Which when I do that, gives me 5x on the right. On the right hand side, it's a little bit easier. We got 100 and 400, both divisible by 100. Therefore, this comes out to be 4. Now we have 4 times 35, which some of you are probably going, wow, that's really challenging. Well, let's take 35 and double it, and then double it again. Doubling 35, double 30 is 60, double 5 is 10, 60 plus 10 is 70. Let's double that again, and I get 140. Then finally, I can divide by 5 on both sides. Canceling the 5s, giving me x. And 140 divided by 5. 5 goes into 14 twice with 4 left over. 5 goes into 40 8 times, so 28 out of 80 would be 35%. Let's go ahead and try another example in which the part value is missing. So we can go ahead and here is our proportion, put the 100 in. We have a 32%, so that goes here, giving us 32 up here. And then it says of 125, so 125 goes on the bottom. We're saying 32% on a 125 point quiz. So the X goes here. Now 100 and 125. If I take 125 and I double it, I get 250, double it again, I get 500, which means that 500 is my value for my LCD. And if you want to just multiply 100 by 125, go right ahead. So now I cancel 100 and 500 going 5 times. So now I have 5 times 32. 5 times 30 is 150. 5 times 2 is 10. That's 160. 125 we said goes into 500. 125 times 2 is 250, times 2 is that, so it goes in 4 times, which leaves me with 4x. Divide by 4 on both sides, and I get x on the right. 4 goes into 16 4 times, so we have that 0, so it is 40.